It's time now for a look at the latest business headlines. Kate Moody is here. Good morning, Kate.
Good morning, Melissa.
Now we begin with an announcement that will put thousands of jobs at risk. Tata Steel is planning to sell its British operations.
Yeah, the board of Tata Steel has rejected what it described as an unaffordable turnaround plan for Port Talbot. That's the UK's largest steel plant. Union members had actually travelled to Mumbai to lobby for this rescue plan. The Indian conglomerate, though, blamed high manufacturing costs, domestic market weakness, and increased imports from countries like China. The steel giant has already shed hundreds of jobs in recent years, including 1,200 in January, and its remaining 15,000 employees in the UK could now be at risk as it tries to further stem heavy losses. Now, the steel industry as a whole has about 18,000 workers across the United Kingdom. As commodities prices have slumped over the past year, the global price of steel has dropped about 45%, making it that much harder to turn a profit. And while it still produces an average 12 million tons of steel per year, the British industry has been dwarfed by China, which produces an annual 822 million tons and then sells it at very, very low prices.
Now we look to the United States now, Kate, where the head of the Federal Reserve has underlined the risks still facing the global economy.
Yeah, much more dovish tone than we had perhaps expected from Janet Yellen. She said America's central bank would proceed cautiously on raising interest rates. This follows tougher statements from some of her colleagues in recent weeks who suggested that another increase might be on the cards for the coming months. The Fed left interest rates unchanged 2 weeks ago, and it forecast 2 further rate hikes this year. That's down from the 4 that were outlined in December, when the bank raised rates from near zero for the first time in a decade. Yellen on Tuesday said that the global forecast had since become weaker.
The committee anticipates that only gradual increases in the federal funds rate are likely to be warranted in coming years. We have to take into account the potential fallout from recent global economic and financial developments.
Well, tell us how that announcement has affected markets, Kate.
Well, Wall Street got quite a boost after those remarks on Tuesday because investors have been worrying about interest rates heading higher. Now, that bounce has largely rolled over in Asian trading. The Shanghai Composite up just over 2% there. The exception to that positive trend is the Nikkei. It's sunk about 1%. The yen has been spurred by a decline in the value of the US dollar, and that in turn weighed on major Japanese exporters. The struggling tech giant Sharp, though, did see its shares climb nearly 7%. After a report that the CEO and most of the management tier would be replaced when it's taken over by Taiwan's Foxconn, and we're expecting more details on that in the coming days.
Now, here in France, Kate, there's been a great deal of outrage over the paycheck that the head of Peugeot Citroen has given himself.
Yes, exactly, or been given. That's how he would like to describe it, I'm sure. Carlos Tavares earned over 5 million euros last year. That's double his salary from 2014. Remember, just 2 years ago, the automaker was on the brink of collapse. It received a bailout from the government and a Chinese partner. Since then, under Tavares' watch, the company has staged a remarkable recovery. Some say he's just being rewarded for that success, but unions and the French finance minister have criticized the pay rise. Josh Vardy explains.
Here at Peugeot Citroen's largest factory in central France, there's a gloomy atmosphere at the start of the day, all to do with the CEO's enormous pay increase.
We find it hard to get a pay rise, and he's doubled his. It's a bit of a slap in the face.
Who could say they find that normal? Nobody. There are things that are okay, and there are things that aren't okay.
In 2015, CEO Carlos Tavares took home over 5.2 million euros, a 90% rise from 2014. The board of directors says this salary is merited. In less than 2 years at the head of the group, Carlos Tavares has successfully restructured the company and brought it out of the red. France's largest employer federation, MEDEF, says this alone justifies the pay rise.
We have to point out that this company was losing 5 billion euros. Now it's on the road to a 1.2 billion profit. We have to point out that we've seen a great economic performance in a difficult sector. We have to applaud all the teams, but also their manager, who's been able to take difficult decisions in a short time to save this company.
Unfortunately, the PSA unions don't share the same viewpoint.
It's us who make the sacrifices. We've seen 17,000 jobs in the PSA group lost over the past few years. It's us who are going to pay the big price for those 10 years of recovery.
This year, Peugeot Citroen's board has given each worker in France a €2,000 bonus before tax. but they say it's insufficient in the face of the 5 million handed to the boss.
Now to another automaker in serious trouble, Kate, which is Volkswagen, of course, facing yet another lawsuit in the United States.
Yeah, it's already severely damaged, of course, from its emissions cheating scandal. It's facing a criminal probe, numerous lawsuits, and huge financial sanctions as it tries to fix the affected cars around the world. Now, compounding those troubles, America's consumer protection watchdog is targeting VW over its ads, which it says falsely advertised its diesel vehicles as environmentally friendly. Now, we've got a couple of those TV ads to show you. This one is from the year 2000. It's from the VW brand Audi. It says that diesel is no longer a dirty word. A more recent one from last year touts the benefits of clean diesel. The Federal Trade Commission says that U.S. consumers were deceived into buying cars that were polluting much more than advertised. It's seeking more than $15 billion in damages in what could be one of the largest false advertising cases in U.S. history.
No end, it seems, to the troubles at Volkswagen. Thank you very much indeed, Kate Moody. A look there at the business headlines. We're going to